Hello again from my front porch. Well, normally we just chat about chit-chatty stuff. Sometimes we do talk about current event things when it's big, and there is a current event thing right now that I want to touch on. And also, I try to keep these non-political, although I have, on occasion, shared my views about a topic or even a candidate. I will never use this show to promote a candidate or anything like that. But where there is political stuff, again, that's in the current events, it's in the topic of discussion. This is supposed to feel like us sitting on a front porch chatting about stuff, and that's what we would be talking about. We'd be talking about what's in the news today. And right now, what's in the news is the Postal Service, and specifically the allegation that the Trump administration is attempting to undermine, knock the legs out from under the Postal Service because it is perceived that that will somehow help Trump to be reelected because he would minimize the ability of people to vote by mail. I guess it's assumed that everybody who wants to vote against him would vote by mail. There we go off on a tangent about conspiracy thoughts of things with that, but we're not going to. I'm not going to go there. What I do want to address, though, is the fact that this notion that the Postal Service is currently in trouble, that because the Trump administration has in some way put the screws to it to try to make it worse, to try to make it collapse, is false. It's just not true. Now, again, I want to be upfront. I don't like Trump. I did not vote for him. I do not plan to vote for him this time around. He's a guy with a lot of issues. So this is not me trying to defend him or be an apologist for Trump at all. But I am a big believer in truth and facts. And so there are a lot of facts related to the Postal Service that are not being shared. This whole, the talking points, the mantra of Trump is bad. He's attacking the postal system now. That's what keeps getting repeated. And media quotes other media. The reporters, I don't get this because, I'm a journalist. That's my degree. And when I went to journalism school, we were told to actually do some legwork, to actually do some interviews, to actually do some research, to not just read what someone else wrote in their publication and then regurgitate the same thing in ours without any fact checking whatsoever. But that seems to be what happens increasingly. I don't understand it. But anyway, so let's talk about a couple of details about the Postal Service that you may not be hearing when you see all of this. Trump is trying to undermine the Postal Service. Let's talk about what's really going on. Back in 1971, there was a Postal Reorganization Act that was done. Up until that point, Congress really ran the Postal Service. Congress gave the Postal Service their budget. Congress voted to set the rates for things. Congress ran the show. But in 1971, the Postal Reorganization Act allowed the Postal Service to become an independent entity, still within the government, kind of like NASA or organizations like that, where and some call it a quasi-government. It's not quasi anything. It's still a government entity. It just is standalone. It's out there to function, and the idea is that it's supposed to be self-sufficient. That because it had a way to generate revenue through postal fees and things like that, that it should be able to function self-sufficiently. Amtrak is another example of this kind of thing. But as we also have seen with Amtrak, the Postal Service has continually struggled with actually being able to pay. Now, part of that, I'm not saying good or bad, I'm just saying reality facts. Part of that is because even though now with that change in 1971, the Postal Service is supposed to be operating like an independent company, basically, it isn't a private entity, and it still has to abide by public government employee union agreements, union contracts, and those have been a killer. And in fact, in 2006. There was another hit that came to the Postal Service. So in 71, we say, okay, we're pulling you out from the general fund, from the other things that are funded, and you are now self-sufficient. You have to pay your own way. That's the expectation. But in 2006, they get thrown this massive curveball that Congress passes legislation that mandates that the Postal Service has to come up with $110 billion over a 10-year period of time in order to pay for labor union, to pay in advance. It's like 75 years of I just drew a blank on the term, but the fees, not the fees, the benefits of retirees. And it was estimated as $110 billion, and the Postal Service has to come up with that by law in a 10-year period of time. That's a lot of money. So the Postal Service gets saddled with all of that kind of stuff. Well, so then now we fast forward to today, where the Postal Service sees their usage declining because of FedEx and UPS and things like that, and it just simply can't keep up. And now it just is convenient to blame yet something else on Trump, but something that actually started to decline in 1971 when the Postal Service was pulled out from the rest of the government, and then in 2006 when it was saddled with this extra burden. But in spite of that, the Postal Service continues on. I believe it's going to continue on, so just keep that in mind when you're reading these reports. All right, I'm going to let you go. And with that, I'll see you next time from my front porch.